first thing, is it in standard form? Is everything on one side of the equation? Yes. So then we want to identify the values. So we want to say what is A, what is B, and what is C. So what does A equal?
2x.
Just the 2.
Just the 2.
Yeah, so when you're plugging this in the formula, you're not going to have any x's. We just want the numbers. What is B? 3.
Okay.
No x's. What is C? -5. Okay, be extra careful you keep the signs with it. So like if this was a -3, make sure you write -3 there. Okay, so now we plug into the formula. So we write x equals, and I want to see this on your paper. The formula says -b, so I'm going to put -3 plus or minus, so that's what that is, plus and minus, square root, and then we're going to fill in the square root with all that stuff. So it's b squared. Make sure you put the b in parentheses and the square on the outside. That way when you plug it into your calculator, you make sure you get the right answer every time. -4 times a, which is 2, times c, which is -5, gentlemen, all over 2a. So when you plug this in your calculator, you can't just put the whole thing in your calculator. And I don't want you to put the square root in your calculator. I want you to do just this part first. So I just want you to simplify under the square root, and we're going to write our simplified version here. So like we'll have -3 plus or minus something under the square root over 4. So just put that part under the square root in your calculator. Don't put a square root, just the part under the square root. Anyone get an answer? 49. Did everyone get 49?
Yes.
Okay, so what is the square root of 49? 7. So now we can go ahead and simplify it. Okay, so now I'll rewrite x equals -3 plus or minus 7 over 4. So if you get a perfect square, like this one, if you get a perfect square, you're going to split this up into 2 answers. So one answer is going to be x equals -3 plus 7 over 4. Yep, and then x equals -3 minus 7 over 4. So that's, you don't split up that plus or minus until the very end. Sometimes you don't split it up at all. It's only if you have a perfect square you split up the 2 answers. So simplify. You can put this in your calculator if you put parentheses around the top. So that would be 4 divided by 4 is 1. And this one becomes -10 over 4, which is -5 over 2. Again, you can put that in your calculator if you put parentheses around the top. Okay, so first let's identify A, B, and C. So what does A equal? 9. B equals -12. And C equals 4. Okay, plug it into your formula. Be extra careful. This first part people will mess up. When B is negative, the formula says -b, so it's -12. Which will make it a positive, which I'll write second. Plus or minus square root b squared. Again, put the -12 in the parentheses. Minus 4 times A times C. All over 2 times 9. So a lot of times when people write this, they get careless and they don't put that whole division sign under everything, and then you mess up your answer in the end. So if you have all that stuff on top, divided by the 2a on the bottom. So then simplify a little bit. X equals +12 plus or minus negative, is that right?
0.
I think it's 0.
Yeah, I know.
that you, I think, Tyler, I think you might have put a plus right there.
No, I put a...
You put a minus? Yeah, it should be 0 into the square root. Okay, so in that second step, I just simplify the first number, the bottom number, and the square root. What is the square root of 0? Just 0, right. So then this whole second half is gone because it's just 0. So now we just have x equals 12 divided by 18, which reduces to, what, 2/3? So remember, sometimes you get 0 answers, sometimes you get, or I should say 1 real solution, or 2 real solutions. Okay, so on the back, number 3, let's first identify our values here. What does A equal? 3. What does B equal? -5. And C equals 0. Okay, so remember, it's ax squared plus bx plus c. So in this case, c is 0. Let's go do number 4 while we're at it. What does A equal? 2. What does B equal? 0. And C? 15. So sometimes people get to this one right here, and they just automatically think, oh, 15 is the second number, so then B is 15, C is 0. So make sure you just pay close attention. B has to have an x with it. So let's plug it in. So x equals -b, so -5, plus or minus square root of b squared, oh, it's delayed, -4 times 3 times 0 all over 2 times 3. So then we can do a little simplifying there. So these two negatives become a +5, plus or minus. And we'll simplify that square root a little bit. So what's under the square root?
25.
Yeah, it should just be 25. So because this is a perfect square, we're going to split it up. So first we'll write the perfect square out. So 5 plus or minus 5 divided by 6. I'll have to go this way. So one of our answers has the plus on top, 5 plus 5 divided by 6. And one of our answers has the minus. 5 minus, divided by 6. So this one's 10 over 6 reduces to 5/3. And this one's 0 over 6, which is what?
0.
Just 0, right? And remember, just because you get 0 doesn't mean it's like no solution or something. It's just an answer choice, and that's fine. Any questions on number 3? Okay, so let's go to number 4. Go ahead and fill in your quadratic formula on number 4. I'll have to erase some of this. Is anyone still writing number 3?
Yes.
Yes, okay. So if you're on number 4, go ahead and start filling in the A, the B, and the C. Remember, on this one, B is 0. Got it, Tony? Yes. One? Okay. That 0 in there, and since you have this 0 here, it just goes away. So you just cross it out, you don't have to rewrite it. If you'd like to keep the 0 there, that's fine. But there's not a reason for it, so you can just cross it out. So then we get x equals, I still keep the plus or minus, that doesn't go away. Square root of, did anyone put this in their calculator?
Yeah, -120.
Negative 120 over 4. So what do I do with that negative? You take it out and it becomes what? An I. So I'm going to write over here, plus or minus I square root 120 divided by 4. So this one's got two things in it. One, it didn't have a perfect square, so we're going to simplify the square root, and then two, it also has this I in it. So yeah, let's do the factor tree for 120 and simplify that. So square root 120. So what I see here a lot is after you simplify square root 20, when you put it back in, people forget things or miswrite things. So all you're doing is, if I rewrite the square root of 20, it would be 2 square root of 2 times 5 times 3, which is 30. Okay, so we're just replacing the square root of 120 with this. So it becomes plus or minus 2i square root of 30 over 4. Or you can write I2, whichever you prefer, doesn't matter. And then you can simplify. So remember, if it's under the square root, I can't simplify with anything, but I can look at what goes into both of these. A 2, so that's a 1, and that's a 2. So our final answer, plus or minus I square root 30 over 2. That's x equals. So you'll have things where they're nice perfect squares, you'll have things with i's in them, and then you have the square roots. So once you get that square root of -4 on the inside, you have to pull this out, which is an I. Then the square root of 4 is just 2. So here you have 2i. Okay, then remember, something has to come out of all 3 terms before you can reduce it.